Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, Mr. Murphy. How are you?
Good. I wasn't expected to be just brought in. That's awesome.
Oh, oh yeah. Should I do that? Do you think I should do that? Like I've never done that. I just kind of like pop us up there and then we're there. I don't like
That's good. With the bejeepers out of me.
I am
Hey,
so excited to have you on tonight.
well, I will tell you, I'm more excited to talk to you, and I'll tell you this. So I've been following your escapades around the world because you're kind of like this globetrotter now, and I would like to tell you that not only am I exceedingly happy for you in the way your life is progressing, but I also tell you I'm a little bit jealous because who would not want to get engaged on Mount Olympus? If you think about all the stuff that we talk about, Bigfoot and werewolves and ghosts and everything, you were really at the epicenter of Western civilization as all these forces were coming together and we were still worshiping nature gods and everything. And you were right in that crucible. And I am glad that you were. And I cannot wait to see you and show me as many pictures as you have.
Oh my gosh. It was absolutely breathtaking. I mean, we started out really quick. We started out touring Pompeii first.
Mm.
And then the bus then took us to this like winery. We had like, oh my gosh, you can't even imagine how delicious everything is in Italy. It's like, it's nothing like for 47 years I've been eating crap and
Mhm.
drinking crap wine and eating crap pasta. Like it's like it's such a different, it's so different there. But anyways, and then we take this bus halfway up, and then we had to walk the rest of the way up to the top of Mount Vesuvius, like all the way to the top.
Oh my goodness.
We just kept going and going, and I had no idea what was going to happen. And I'm seeing like little lizards running around, so I'm like trying to put like little caps of water down for him, and he's like, "Come on, come on!" And I'm like, "Well, um, they got to drink water." He's like, "They've survived without you. Like they're gonna be fine."
Mhm.
He's just like rushing me, and then finally we get to the top, and he's like, "What do you think of this view?" And I'm like, "It is breathtakingly perfect, like picture perfect."
Mhm.
And that's when he did it. And
Wow.
he said no. His plan was if I said no, he was pushing me into the volcano.
Wow. See, well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But no, I was so, yeah. See, I thought that you got engaged on Mount Olympus.
Oh
You
no,
were,
Mount Vesuvius,
yeah, you were in Rome and you weren't in Greece then, right? Okay, great. I'm sorry. I don't know where I got that
Naples,
from. Yeah.
Naples.
Oh my goodness. And that whole area has such a great tradition of werewolves. Where the name lycanthropy actually derives from that general area too.
Had no idea werewolves were a thing.
Oh yeah, definitely a thing. Definitely a thing.
Had no
Yeah.
idea. They are like people in Italy are so laid back. Like everybody's just chill. Nobody like, you know what I mean? Everybody's just like, it's amazing the difference in what um it's not, they don't work to have the biggest house. They work to survive.
Right.
They work to live. They don't live to work, and it's not about who's got the most expensive car and the biggest house. It's like,
Right.
it's just a different way of life and a different culture. It was
Right.
Wonderful.
I was so happy for you, and like I said, truly, I've known you for several years, and it could really not have happened to a better person. And I
Oh,
truly, I think the world of you, and I'm hoping that all of your dreams come true. Although I will tell you and everybody listening, this probably still will not prevent me from hitting on you.
I love you. I love you so much. You always make me laugh out loud so hard. Like it's
Yes,
you
fuck.
really do. Like we were talking about me and Ron were talking about the Bigfoot camping adventure we're going to be at in a couple weeks, and I said, "Yeah, I'm so happy you're going. Hopefully, we'll get to hang out." And because a lot of times at these events and cons, when Ron, you're a speaker at a lot of the one, you were a speaker at the Bash. We barely got to hang out. You know what I mean? So when you're a speaker and you have a table, it's kind of hard to mingle with people. So and he said. He said, "My cabin door will always be open."
Oh, right. That's very nice. Yeah, because we had met one time. We met at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash last year, and you came in to see me talking about vampires, and it was so brief. It was like I've been waiting for years. I've been on your show several times, and I've been waiting for years to finally get a chance to meet you, and it was just
It was so
seconds.
good. Yeah, it really was. That stunk. Well, we're not going to let that happen at Bigfoot.
That's right. And now let's tell the audience when this Bigfoot camping adventure is, because there's still tickets available, and if they want to join Taryn and Ron at this Bigfoot camping event, they can.
Yes. Maybe not me, but
Yeah.
I'm just going for the experience and to learn, and I'm excited about everything. So this
Yeah.
is September 6th and 7th.
Sure, that sounds right. But you'll be a mingling celebrity. Do you see what I mean? Even though you're not going to speak, you'll still be there, and people want to come up and meet you and get your autograph and all that good stuff.
No, you're silly.
I'm serious. I'm serious. See, April knows what I'm talking about.
You're silly. It's
Huh.
yeah. So September 6th and 7th, and then they're gonna have workshops, right? That teach you some Bigfoot, like how you guys collect evidence, and um, there's gonna be a lot of awesome Bigfooters there.
There are. There are. So this is one of my favorite events. Not only is it close to home, I'm also very fond of Eric Altman. He and I have worked
I love
together
that.
for a number of years. And Stan Gordon's going to be there. And truly, nobody in Western Pennsylvania would be doing anything regarding the paranormal unless it was with Stan Gordon laying that foundation. So you're going to get people that you see on television, talking here. We got Ken Gearhart, who's really one of my favorite investigators. You've got several of the mountain monster guys coming out, and it's just going to be a great time to get together. It's going to be a forum that allows like-minded people to get together and talk about this conundrum called Bigfoot. And then I do believe that we're going to be doing Bigfoot hunts as well in the evening, which is going to be fun as well. So I've done this for several years now in a row. There was one time there was a little bit of hiatus there, but I know for the last 2 years or so. Last year, not no, but the 2 years previous to that, it rained so badly. Like we're talking about like biblical amounts of rainfall. There was, but it was still fun. There was
Yeah,
a camaraderie there. Everybody, got soaked. It was kind of like a Bigfoot Woodstock.
yeah. Oh, I'm excited. We're excited.
Yeah.
Me and the beaches are excited. Like we got a cabin, we got a golf cart. We're like ready.
That's right. So you're bringing all the peaches with you then, is that correct?
Yes,
Wow, that's so you're bringing a bushel of peaches with you
I
to the
am.
Bigfoot camping. Well, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun.
I mean, the six of us are we have fun no matter what we do or where we
Yeah.
go. So
Yeah, well, I'm excited as well too because as you can imagine, most times whenever you do Bigfoot conferences, and this is just between me and you, it's a bit of a sausage party, if you know what I'm talking about. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good to have some girls there.
yeah, it does
Oh,
it does sound like a lot of fun. Oh my
it
gosh,
does.
I'm
It
excited.
does.
we're all
Yeah.
excited. Like we can't wait for it. We're so excited
Well,
for it.
right. And the thing is, and now getting back to a more serious note, Lauren Coleman had suggested a number of years ago that if Bigfoot is ever going to be discovered, if this is truly an unidentified species that we've yet to categorize by science, that it will be a team of women that actually figure out what's going on. Because I think that men, whenever they go in the woods, there's a little bit of intimidation there, and I think when women go in, it's just a different vibe and a different vibration and frequency and everything. And I truly think that going into the woods with a group of women, heck, if I was a Bigfoot, I would come out and approach a group of women with Bigfoot, would. But no, I think that is the thing. I think that women, and that's the reason why I wish that you were talking, because I go to event after event, and very rarely, no matter what subject, do you ever see a woman talking. And I think that it's vital to assert that there are women in this field that are doing boots on the ground stuff, that they're very intelligent, very capable people who are doing research and everything else. And I really am glad that you have this show as well, because you are showing that this is just not all a boys' club.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you for that. Thank you for that. That was awesome. And it's true. I mean, and some of the best investigators, some of the best people I know are women, and they know what they're doing. I mean, yes, I'm guilty of it myself. Most of my guests, if you look back, most of my guests are male, but there's such a male presence in the field. You know what I mean? And it's not, I don't think it's like on purpose. I think that's just what's molded over time. And yes, there are female teams out there. You have Ghost Sisters, you have the Peaches, you have, like there's teams out, there's women teams out there, but they're just not as, I don't know what makes the difference between, getting the, I don't know, acknowledgement as like men do. I don't know. I don't know what is different.
It's the hat. You have to wear those hats. That's what sets you aside from everybody else. And I think that's why, guys. So there's a persona. Yeah, the hat, right? The hat.
So I should wear this all the time?
You need to wear a pseudo cowboy hat. You see what I'm saying? That's what it has to be. It looks like you have to look like Indiana Jones at all time. That's the whole thing. Yeah, because then people.
I have a cowboy hat.
I'm waiting to see that. But no, I think that people equate Indiana Jones with adventure. That was something from our childhood. And Josh Gates does such a good job of, kind of equating that in with that mythos as well, too. But you see Ken Gearhart, and you see Lyle Blackburn and all these people wearing these great hats. And it looks as if they are going out on some sort of life or death adventure, And I think that there's something about that, that persona that really gets people interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So that person there is my brother, as a matter of fact.
Hi, brother. Hi, David.
He's got a curious question. He said, although one of the first encounters I ever had was with my brother. So this was a Bigfoot encounter, too. So we had moved into an area in Indiana, Pennsylvania. So any listeners from Western Pennsylvania. And we heard something in the summertime. It was a whistling sound, and we were scared. It only came around about between the hours of midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning. So that witching hour, that was very, very terrifying. And we were adults, 24, 26 years old or whatever. So we thought, if this ever happens again, we are going to go investigate it. Okay. So sure enough, it was about 2:30 in the morning, and this whistling starts getting this whoop, whoop sound. And we thought, we're going to go find out what's doing this. So my brother grabbed a baseball bat, and I grabbed a sword, because, you have to have a sword in this story. And I opened up the door, and as I stepped out into the night, you could feel that whistling reverberating. Like you could actually feel it in your chest. So when people talk about infrasound and things like that, I think that what we were experiencing was this sound that really was affecting you systemically. I mean, you could feel it in your stomach. But we were already kind of, jazzed up, and we had the adrenaline running. So we go back behind our house to where this grove of trees leads up into these big woods. Okay, and as we approach the grove of trees, the whistling still continues. We know whatever the object, whatever the entity is right there in front of us, but we can't see it because it's pitch black outside and it's being hidden in trees. But we knew it was right there. And as we got closer, the thing was still whistling, but at the same time that it was whistling, it started to growl. And you could hear it taking in air. You could tell that it was producing these sounds in a physical way. And so we just ran.
Didn't see it, or you could
Did
see
not see it. Did not see it. Nope, nope, did not see it. We heard the sound just coming from the darkness. It was just coming from the darkness. It was shaking, everything around you. Now, I think that's a little bit melodramatic. It wasn't like shaking the leaves and everything, but you could feel the vibrations all around you. And then we just ran back into the house. And the thing is, it never came back around again. See, like my brother said, big breaths, big deep breaths. And at the time, this was probably, I don't know, 1997 or 1998. And I got onto the internet machine that all the kids were using at the time. And I typed in Pennsylvania and Bigfoot. And if you can imagine with that search, only one website came up, and that was the PA Bigfoot Society. And that was the society that was started by Eric Altman. And the first investigation he ever did was on that report that I gave. So do you see how everything comes around?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I had no idea. I never knew that you ever worked together like that. You know what I mean?
That's how we work together. Yep, that's how we got everything set up. That something was out there, happening and everything like that. But the critters were quiet. There was really no other kind of ambient sounds going on whatsoever. It was just that whistling sound. And so Carmen says it's hard to believe Bigfoot would be in Pennsylvania, and I agree. I mean, I'm logical about these things. Where my house was probably about 2 miles from the nearest Walmart. So Pennsylvania is a very developed state, but we also have to understand that it's one of the most green states as well too. We have tracts of land that are saved for conservancy purposes. The tract of land that was actually behind my house was part of Indiana University of Pennsylvania's conservancy land. So nobody could hunt there. So we know that Pennsylvania has a lot of wilderness left, okay? And if you were an elusive creature and you were so designed to remain hidden, you could remain hidden in Pennsylvania for very long. Trust me. I mean, and I studied this and I looked at it in all different ways, from a skeptical way and every other thing. And I'm just saying that if you wanted to remain hidden, you could remain hidden. And besides California and sometimes Ohio, because that kind of flip-flops, but Pennsylvania is always either the second or third state with the most Bigfoot sightings. It's incredible.
There's even rumors that there's been Bigfoot occurrences in Gettysburg.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So whenever I do these conferences, whether it's in Gettysburg or any of these other places, I always like to look up things that other people had seen there. And I actually even went on a ghost tour in Gettysburg, and they remarked about somebody on the tour that actually saw a Bigfoot.
Yeah. I have a magnet on the side of my car that's a Bigfoot, and it says Gettysburg in the middle of it.
Nice. Yeah. I think there's definitely something remarkable about Bigfoot. It definitely draws people in. Whenever you see that Bigfoot, you really wonder what's going on there, So all these places are using him as a poster child to sell tickets and to sell, pizzas and hamburgers and everything.
Right.
And I think that's great, because once it's out like this, we can have talks and we don't look like we're crazy. We can actually have intelligent talks about a creature called Bigfoot.
Right. So there are 3 questions. Oddly, one came at 4:27 in the morning.
Yes, I know. Wow, that seems a little odd.
So
seems a little odd that somebody was thinking about you and I at 4 something in the morning.
Yeah, so I'm not sure this person is on.
Okay.
Because like I said, this came at 4:27 in the morning. But has Ron ever seen the man in the woods?
Is that the one that came in at 4 o'clock in the morning
Yes.
from Mr. William Simo?
Yes.
Excellent. Yes, no, I've never seen a Bigfoot in the woods, but it's interesting because William has a YouTube site where he actually has done some Bigfoot investigations as well too. So I kind of follow him on there as well too. So the answer is the same way with Eric Altman and the same way with Stan Gordon as well. Unfortunately, the answer is no. But we've seen a lot of anecdotal things that keep us going. You know, the whistles and the howls that my brother and I had encountered. You know, I'd seen strange cracks before outside of my house and in the woods as well too. So there's enough anecdotal things there to say that there's something out there that is uncategorized. But also, whenever you take all this stuff into consideration as well, I'm starting to believe that what we are calling Bigfoot is much more than just a flesh and blood corporeal type of big ape. I think there's something else going on as well too. Several years ago, there was a pretty big snowstorm in our area, and school was canceled. So I thought, you know, this is a horrible day for the Murphy family. So I opened up the door. You know, this new fallen rust of snow was out there, and I noticed that in the snow, and nobody had been up yet. You know, because there was so much snow. You know, the roads haven't been plowed yet. But out in front of my house, there were these tracks. And I've taken several pictures of them and put objects down to compare them to. They were about the size of a dollar bill. So these weren't large tracks, but they were definitely barefooted tracks. So we're talking about temperatures in the teens, you know, and then we see these tracks coming through the yard. And it's odd because as a Bigfoot investigator, you know, what's the chances of a Bigfoot walking through my yard? So I start to investigate, and the tracks don't come out of the woods, which skirt my home. They just appear out of nowhere, which is really, really strange. So, and it was a right track and another right track, and then a left and right track. So it seems as if it either stepped out of something or stepped into this reality, which is freaky. And
Yeah.
these tracks, again, very diminutive tracks, they came across the snow, went to my dining room window and apparently looked in because they were facing my dining room window,
Oh,
and
that's
then
crazy.
yeah, and then proceeded to go over the hill, and again, instead of going into the woods, they disappeared yet again. So I don't know how to you know, explain what happened. I sent the pictures to Stan Gordon, and he posted them as well. And then about maybe a week after he posted the pictures, the woods that were around my house that were, you know, open public lands were now closed and put up no trespassing signs. And he didn't put anything on there at all about where these prints came from. So whoever, it just seems too coincidental. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy nut, but I'm just saying that I saw evidence that suggested something was in and around these woods. And after Stan Gordon posted them, the woods were no longer allowed to be entered into.
Wow. But these are, you could go into them, right? I mean, they're in your backyard, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, you could. That's the whole thing, though. But you know, the whole idea of getting fined and stuff like that, I didn't really want to go in that route. But of course, I did go in there. Of course, I did. But it just seemed to me that somebody knew where this was, and they decided to shut it down.
Wow. That's great. That is strange.
It is very strange.
Question: if somehow, hi Dan, Dan I've known for a very long time. I met him in my first ghost hunting group
Well, right.
back in like 2012 or 11, maybe even. Anyway, question: if somehow you were able to physically capture a Bigfoot, would you tell anyone, call the authorities, experts, or keep it a secret?
Excellent question, Dan. And actually, I was at a conference not too long ago, and Eric Altman was a part of this discussion as well, too, when we were talking about what exactly do we do if that would happen. See, I don't think that you would call the authorities. If there is a cover-up going on, then those are probably the last people that you would want to contact. I mean, I guess you could probably call somebody up in the news media and explain what happens, but I'm sure there's a chain of command as well, too. I think that I would contact the investigators that I'm most comfortable with, that I know the most intimately. and then proceed from there. The main thing is to get as much documentation as you can and as much eyewitnesses as you can, because the idea that this Bigfoot body might not be there at a future time is very possible, because people talk about getting, seeing Bigfoot bodies that were recovered off of Mount St. Helens after the eruption. I think there's a lot of things to be said as we look in the historical record that these creatures have been allegedly recovered, bodies have, only to disappear. I do find it rather odd that with all the highways we have out there, that nothing has ever crossed the highway and been hit by a truck and, recovered, or, something just, falls and dies. Things like this happen. But we're not finding bodies. And unless we're dealing with something that is, interdimensional or extraterrestrial, these are physical animals that would have a terminating lifespan, I assume, and nobody's finding bodies. And one of the reasons why there might not be any bodies is because of some sort of extensive cover-up.
True. I mean, I don't know. I think about this all the time, and I can't. I can't say anybody that does the Bigfoot side of things or even the alien side of things, is, like, I can't say that it's crazy or, whatever, no matter what I believe or I don't believe, because I believe anything is possible, right? Even if I've never had an experience with a Bigfoot or UFO or alien or anything like that, I can't sit here and say that it doesn't exist, right?
Right.
And you brought up something interesting earlier when you said about how, no, we've never captured a Bigfoot. It's been all whatever, but that's the same thing with anybody that's done paranormal investigating. Nobody's ever captured an apparition or captured a ghost either.
Right.
It's just been what we've gathered on investigation through research or investigating, or, you know what I mean? And that's with anything. Nobody's captured an alien or a UFO either.
That's
right?
very, very true. But I think that whenever you're talking about Bigfoot, and you're talking about something that is claimed to make, tree knocks and claim to, leave, footprints that are 18 inches long and leave behind hair and all these other kind of evidence.
But aside from the hair, I mean, ghosts are supposed to be able to do the same.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like,
yeah, I do know what you're saying, right? And I think that the majority of people believe in ghosts. I think people have had very, very emotional attachments with the afterlife or with ghosts or whatever. I think that's probably pretty programmed into us as human beings. This quest for life beyond this one. But I think there's something about Bigfoot that would simply not allow it to just fade away like that. We need more proof, because it's those big feet are making a lot of noise, and we want to find out where that noise is coming from.
Right. Yeah.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, right? That's the problem.
Absolutely.
Nobody's ever caught one. Back in the 1800s, there was a tale of, this might even have been in the early 1900s, this creature called Jacko that was in California. It was along the train tracks, and people claimed that this small ape-like creature was taken aboard a train, and I don't know what happened to the creature, whatever, it escaped. Some people said it, resembled a chimpanzee. And there's a lot of researchers that suggest that it was simply a chimpanzee that escaped a carnival. But you do have tantalizing, hints throughout history that there were captures made by unidentified creatures. Even in the time of the Romans, back in 79 AD, I do believe it was, sometime around there, there was in the area of the Caucasus Mountains, there was a claim that a satyr was captured. One of these half goats, half human characters. And one of the reasons why they thought that it was a satyr.
Terrifying.
What's that?
That sounds terrifying.
It does. But they called it a satyr because it was making goat-like noises, So I think that they kind of, put, two and two together kind of thing. And they wouldn't know what a Bigfoot is either. But it sounds as if they captured a humanoid creature, a bipedal creature that was covered in hair and that was making strange calls. It was apparently escaped and everything. But like I said, again, going back, 2,000 years, there have been hints that we have had these things at our disposal, and for whatever reason, they disappeared into the sands of time.
Yeah, that is crazy. But also, I mean, you're talking about 79 AD, and it's like, you know, they were way ahead of their time. Like, I mean, I couldn't believe how advanced they were. And at some
Mhm.
point, that fell through the hands of time too. And because it's like we had to start over at some point. You know what I mean? They had one-way streets and a water system and all kinds of stuff. And sliding doors, and they had fast food restaurants, and you know what I mean.
That's
And
right.
somehow we like had to start over. Where was that time slip?
Right, there was like a factory reset. Absolutely, yeah. Whenever people talk about ancient history, they think it's barbaric and things. But no, you're absolutely right. 100 years before the birth of Jesus, you could drink wine out of a glass. People had glasses. There was, people had rudimentary windows going on, and the Romans and the Greeks had, heating systems within their house. Plumbing. It was not a backward time. And that would be an interesting show to do as well, because as you look back through antiquity, if we would have progressed on that kind of curve that we were going on, we should already be inhabiting every single planet within our solar system,
Right, right.
and going on first. But something happened. Like,
Something.
something happened. Right, right. And I don't know what that was, because, we have the pyramids. And what is so curious about the pyramids is those were the tallest structures in the world until the Eiffel Tower was built. That's scary, right? That's some
Right.
scary stuff. So we're looking back and seeing hints of what was capable of being produced by regular human beings, and we cannot reproduce that ourselves with the kind of technology we have today.
Right. And
Yeah.
we have far way more tools and bulldozers and big cranes, and we have all this stuff to help. And I mean, I can't imagine. I can't wrap my brain around men making that without, the edges are so straight.
Right.
Everything is so like
Yeah.
precise.
That's right. And even something like the aqueducts, what people take for granted, taking water from the mountains into a town so you could have a fountain, that's remarkable. And it has to be at a certain slope so the water is always running downhill so gravity takes it in. This is amazing stuff that we were able to do at one time.
Yeah, and here's the thing, they had less education. They didn't know what, when the first rain that happened, I mean, nobody knew what rain was. You know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. Like there was I don't want to say intelligence, because clearly they were intelligent. You know what I mean? But how? Without
Right. Right.
without the education and the knowledge and the this, where did they get it from?
That's right. Yeah, I think whenever we go from the Stone Age to the Iron Age, it's remarkable, because what we are claiming that happened is, as we were out there working with stone tools and a hunter gatherer society, that we had happenstance came upon a rock and thought, what, if we heat that rock up, we can get metal out of that and use that metal for tools. Who
Right,
does that?
right.
Like as many times as I've been out in the woods, I've never looked at a stone and thought, I wonder if I can get some metal out of that, right? So
That's
these
what
are, yeah, huge leaps in understanding that happen. So again, I give the human race all kinds of credit. That's the reason I have faith that we will never destroy ourselves, because I do have faith in humanity. But well, we're a very unique species, and I hope that we continue out there and we really see the beauty in each other.
Yeah. Well, that's a good statement. I like that. Um, and so what's the, I mean, this is my favorite thing to say, and because I mean, talking about what happened, like where there was something that happened, right? I always like say, because I just started like really like reading a little bit about time slips or time lapses and time slips and stuff. And I always say there's always three things I say. Um, you may call it Bigfoot, I call it a ghost, this other person calls it, an alien, but what if it's all the same thing? It just looks different. Like we look different. Me and
Mm-hmm.
you don't look different. So if we went to another realm and they all looked like green men with big black eyes and they saw us, or one of them saw us and one of them saw you, we look completely different. They could call me, hey, I just saw a ghost. I just saw a
Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot, right? But we're the
That's right.
same thing. You know what I
That's
mean?
right. No, no, I do know exactly what you mean. And I've led ghost tours before, and as we were going into people's houses and things, or and buildings, I'm thinking, if there are spirits there inhabiting that place, then maybe we are seen as the ghosts.
Right.
We are seen, because we're coming into their world, and asking questions. So, we have to think as well too. Maybe at 1 o'clock in the morning, there is some ghost in its spectral phase, on this realm who's not passed over, and they hear, again and again, who's there, or hear knocking or something like that, and it's actually us because we're the ghost, because it is about perception, right? The ghost would see us as something else than we are. Yeah, and I think that there is something to be said about that. About I think there is in the paranormal. There's a gray area where it's the kind of the source where all this stuff comes from. When we're talking about Bigfoot or werewolves or vampires or UFOs or ghosts or whatever, there's this gray area, and we have to decide. We're find out what that gray area is. I write about fairies a lot. I tend to believe that what we're seeing out there in the woods is an elemental force, but we can also look inwardly as well too. And from a psychological point of view, it's very possible that we human beings are what is creating the monsters by projecting them on to the environment and possibly even causing them to manifest. So there's so many different layers to this proverbial onion we have to peel through in order to find the answer. But we may never find the answer, but we keep on looking because we are inquisitive and we want to know what's out there in the shadows, and we want to know what's out there that science has not yet explained.
Yeah, absolutely. You're such a good speaker.
Well, I appreciate that. I just do it for you. I save it all up for you.
Well, I appreciate it because it's amazing. I can listen to you talk for hours. I'm not even
Well,
kidding.
I think you're the only one that can.
So, so I know we said we would talk about Bigfoots, but we don't really have to talk about Bigfoots. I mean, I know that's what we've been talking about, and everybody's just I guess this is kind of like with you, I get to talk about anything. I always say it all the time. I'm like, I could say, well, why were green crowns made? And Ron would have the answer. And then he would even have the answers, how they're made, what they put together to make, how the machine was made, where it came from, who invented it.
Well, I appreciate that very, very much. But I, so my education, I'll tell you my education. So I was a literature major, and my undergraduate degree was in religious studies. Okay, so you get a whole bunch of stuff, you read a lot of things, and then for in graduate school, I went for history. So by doing that, you start learning about a lot of things, because history is just not about facts. It's also about art and about, philosophy and psychology and all that kind of stuff. So having a liberal arts education will not only allow you to answer questions on Jeopardy, but it will also allow you to answer really obnoxious questions about ghosts and things as well too. Because I knew whenever I was in college that I wanted to pursue the paranormal as well too. I knew that I had a lot of interest since I've been a kid in the paranormal. So I thought, I'm reading about things that look like Bigfoot, and I'm reading about things that look like UFO visitations. So let me see what I can do with this. And so by connecting the dots, this is how you have me here right now, because nothing exists in a vacuum. If there were ghosts, there's always been ghosts. If there was Bigfoot, there's always been Bigfoot. And now we have to look and find out if these claims do hold up to the test of time, and I'm starting to believe that they do.
Yeah. I had a question in my head and then it went away. Ah, I hate
I
that.
know.
I hate
You
that.
said you said I have a question, and then you said where like how things are made and everything like that. So I think
Yeah.
you were going to go down that road
Um, ugh.
because I do like your questions.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Um, so because you were saying something about Bigfoot. I didn't want to interrupt you, so I was like trying to I was trying to. This is the ADHD at its finest, right here.
Mhm.
Um, so you said about oh, I forget. I forget what I was
Yeah.
going to ask you.
Well,
Damn it.
this is your show, okay? I like to hear myself talk. Just tell me to shut up or mute me or something like that.
No, I can't. I want to hear you talk as so does everybody watching. They want to hear you, not me.
No, they're here for you. Your name is on the show, my dear.
But you're my guest, so they're here for you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Um, so so oh, this was going to ask you. So
Great.
you said you've always been interested in the paranormal too, not just the Bigfoots. Now this is a two part. So you said your first possible encounter with Bigfoot was with your brother, right? The whistle
That's
that
right.
okay.
That's right.
So prior to that, or after that, or during that, did you ever have an experience with anything else other than a Bigfoot? Like, have you experienced any ghosty stuff or any alien stuff or anything like that?
So, growing up in and around the Chestnut Ridge, there's always really strange things happen. So, I was deathly afraid of UFOs and aliens whenever I was a kid, and I still am kind of right now as well too. Like I'm creeped out by the fact that something could come in to your house and like take you. You know what I mean? Like against your will. I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff. But I remember as a kid. Um, Looking out one night while my mother and my grandmother stood out on the porch, and we saw this red orb on the horizon, and it was like not a light. It was basically just a red ball that was flying, and it went along the horizon. Then it started to bank right, and then took it over our house. And as it took it over our house, and it started to go upwards as well too, almost like a jet plane whenever it climbs. But as it went over our house, it started to climb higher. And on the back, and I still remember this vividly, there were six lights on the back, three on the top and three on the bottom. And of course, looking back on it now, was that the engines? Was that the thrusters? Whatever the case may be. But that was the only time I could say that I saw a UFO. And my mother was very much into the paranormal. She read about it. When we were kids, we would actually go out, my brother and I would go out looking for Bigfoot with my mom. And that always has been there for, my entire life. The idea that there's something out there, very wide eyed and almost childlike as well, too. But I was brought up to, ask questions, and not only to ask questions, but also to question perceived facts as well too. I think that's important. So I spent a lot of time in the library. I spent a lot of time in the woods as a kid, and we didn't have podcasts back then. So all this stuff had to be taken up by, having little impromptu clubs in the neighborhood, and a group of friends would go out into the woods. But yeah, so it was really my mother that got me down this path. That there's something more that's out there than we know, that we can realize, and that's why I'm still doing this.
I agree. I agree with
Mm.
that. I'll have to tell you an experience I had in a minute, but I want to put your brother's, sorry, putting my baby to sleep. Real question about Bigfoot. There are lots of videos online. Some are passable, but what I question, lots of the pictures, lots of the face pictures, videos are showing up. They all look different. I see Patty as 100% real. Do you think Bigfoot would look closer to apes, where they look similar, as I believe, or more human, and they differ that much?
Oh, right, right, right. So again, that's my brother who is a first-time dad, and I
Oh,
appreciate him coming on
congratulations.
there. Yeah, that's right, that's right. I give him all the credit in the world. But so, would there be facial varieties among Bigfoot? And we can only look at what we have at our disposal, and that would be the great apes. We do know that chimpanzees have a wide range of appearances. They really are striking in how varied their looks go. Not so much orangutans, not so much gorillas, but the chimpanzees definitely show a variation. And I think with any animal, there would be some difference, because these things aren't cookie cutters. But yeah, I think I do see what he's saying as well too. There would be enough similarities to say what I'm looking at is the same creature, right? But again, people come in so many different aspects as well too, and the countenances look so much different as well too. That is actually a good question. I'm a little stumped on that. And there are people bringing out a lot of videos now. One of the reasons that I would say that a lot of these videos are faked is because the creature looks exactly the same in every video. If it's a costume or it's based upon something, and I like the ones that are a little bit more varied. But I think, and I will put this out there, I think the only true evidence that we have of a possible Bigfoot is the Patterson Gimlin film, and I'm still a little bit, reluctant to say that is 100% factual. But I think that is kind of our touchstone to go with until something better comes along.
Good answer. Good answer.
Mm,
Um, April asks, you mentioned earlier you spoke at a con about vampires.
I did. I
This
did.
is one of my
That,
favorite things Ron talks about.
that's right. That's where I met Karen. That was at the Gettysburg Bash. I thought it would be appropriate because Abe Lincoln versus the vampires or whatever the
Vampire
hell that
Slayer.
movie. That's right. That's right. So I thought that would be kind of appropriate there. But I've spoken other places about vampires too. I just have this again going back to my mom. So on Saturdays, I don't know if this was the same with you as well too. On Saturdays around 11:30 after the news, there would be a double feature of horror movies on, right? So out of Pittsburgh, we had Chilly Billy Cardill, and we had something called Chiller Theater. And I would go to bed about 9 o'clock at night, and my mother would wake me up about 11:20, and she would take me out onto the couch. She'd always have my snacks ready, and we would sit there and we would watch this double feature. And first time I ever saw The Legend of Boggy Creek was on one of these shows, and of course Lon Chaney transforming into the Wolfman. But it was, the Hammer horror Dracula's, and that really kind of lit up my imagination. So yeah, I lecture and write on vampires.
It's so cool.
Mm.
Um, Ajing from Indonesia, I might add. Hi, Ajing.
Oh,
Thank you
no.
for being here. She said, our crop circles are really made by UFOs.
Well, Beijing, what's so cool about where she lives is that's where you have the Homo florensis, right? In and around that area. These little diminutive creatures that have recently been discovered that took on the moniker of a hobbit. So these are little Bigfoot kind of creatures that the Dutch had even reported seeing. They were known to come down off the hills, sometimes abduct children, steal women at times, steal food. But yeah, that's an awesome place, and I would love to talk to her more about that. But the UFOs, whenever it comes to crop circles, I think there's a lot of evidence showing that crop circles, at least the more elaborate ones, were made by people, as hoaxes. But one thing I will point out, Ajing, is as I write about these things through history, we find places like Avebury, which is a stone circle in England. And of course, we have Stonehenge. and we have these stone circles all around the world. Um, my suggestion is this: could it be that ancient man had come across these crop circles, and they knew that they were magical, or they knew that it was something um, different, something preternatural, if you will. And in order to honor that event happening, they created stone circles around those places and made them sacred places. Now, that's just something that I'm dealing with right now. That's something that I'm writing about and investigating. But I think that when we look at the world record, when we look at the historical records from Africa and China and even in North America, we see that almost all indigenous peoples, native peoples, had these swirling type of iconography. And you can see it all over Newgrange in Ireland as well. And is those swirls, is these circular patterns representative of what they saw in nature? And if it is what they saw in nature, could it have been derived from a crop circle? So do I think that all crop circles are genuine? Absolutely not. No, no, no. If people have the will, they're going to have the way to fake them. Are the little simple ones that have been seen, and probably the first ones. And we can even find medieval manuscripts that show in the margins about the devil actually making crop circles, because these were believed to be demonic at one time, and the devil would come out and make these in the crops. So we know that people knew about these things, and it's just our perception. Again, like we talked about earlier, it's our perception. We are now living in a technologically advanced society, so immediately our minds are going to go to places like UFOs and stuff. But if we were living in a time before that technology, then of course you would think things like Satan, or you think things like fairies. So I think that crop circles are very worthy of study. But my opinion is that is what's going on, that we are seeing in our stone structures hints of what the ancients saw in the natural world around them.
What do you think of those? I'm going to get to your questions, guys, Kim, I promise. But what do you think of those? I know that they've probably been deemed like they've been put there by people. But the, what are those called? Just they're like glass all around. And they
oh, yes. Those monoliths that appear out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So very 2001: A Space Odyssey type of vibe to them. And whenever I first saw them, I was really freaked out, creeped out by this. But as I start doing some research, I find out that, people eventually take credit for it. And they appear to be art installations. It makes you think, you see them out in the middle of nowhere. But, that is kind of like, that's what we're experiencing now. But I think, though, in the ancient world, if you were going out and you saw a crop circle there, instead of one of these monoliths, it would have that same kind of impact.
Right. That's what I mean. You gotta want like what's that one place that has the this fascinates me. The heads, but their bodies are under the ground. Those big huge, what is the name of that? I forget the name of it.
Easter Island.
Easter Island, right?
Yep, Easter Island. Yep.
Yeah. They're humongous.
They are.
And how? Like it's the weirdest thing.
Right. It is very weird. And we do know from the archaeological record that the reason why that culture went virtually extinct is because in order to get those huge heads into place, those huge bodies into place, they had to use all the wood up on the island to roll them. So we know how they were made because, again, these things are not ancient. They may only be 500 or 600 years old. So it's not like going back into the Stone Age. At least probably were fairly Stone Age societies, but these are not ancient. So when we talk about that, there were already people exploring that particular region. So in the last 500 or 600 years, we know that these moais have went up by this particular culture, the Rapa Nui. So we understand, that they were handmade, and we understand that they were actually put there. but the reasons are, why were they put there? Why did you devote so much time? And the current archaeological consensus is it was a part of ancestral worship. But if you look at them, they're always facing up towards the sky, looking out towards the sky as if they're waiting for something to come back. And there's also a curious figure that's associated with Easter Island, and that's called the Birdman, which is this human, apparently human, but shown almost as it's becoming almost a bird, almost if it's transforming. And I think what it's supposed to do is show that there's the idea of a person that's able to take flight. The reason why I think that that is the case is because if we go to the Cahokia Indian Mounds in Carbondale, Illinois, we find the same iconography there of this person that's covered in feathers, this Birdman. So whether that's their idea of talking about humanoids that descended from the sky, that's one thing, or if that was their hope to somehow become part of that, that connection with birds or what have you. But we do have two cultures that are varying in time and place that have the same iconography, which is very interesting.
Oh, that's cool. By the way, 600 years old, that's still old. But I did think I did think that they were older.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like whenever you talk about Vesuvius, you're going to 2,000 years ago, and that's really old. But yeah, but no, I don't. It's just in the grand scheme of things, that's like yesterday.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Kim wants to know, what are your thoughts on Mothman?
So I have spoken at the Mothman Festival one time. Have you ever been there, Taryn?
No.
It is like a carnival. This little town comes alive for this one weekend, and they have like jump houses and food trucks, and people are walking around like Mothman and everything. It's really really cool. And the more research that I've done into Mothman, the more that I do unfortunately believe that this was a malfunction in engineering design on the Silver Bridge, and there was some coincidental things that were going on at the time, and probably the Mothman was based upon a sandhill crane, some other large bird that would be anomalous to that area, but the area around Point Pleasant has a lot of water. So these big wading birds or these big raptors that would like to hunt fish could come into this area very easily. It might have even been a certain type of owl that was off course. But I think that people were seeing something very strange that was flying around. And then the Silver Bridge collapsed, and they kind of put two and two together. But I think that it was just simply a mistake whenever it came to structural engineering, and a Mothman probably was nothing more than the imagination of the locals.
I do think that the Jersey Devil also is not existent. I think that it was, I think, the story that it comes from, that this woman gave birth to a child that was deformed. And, back then they would sometimes keep their children hidden, from public because, they were embarrassed. It was a different way of living. So I think that over time, it became this legend, that this woman had this devil child, and and then I think it just grew from there. I do think that there was a child born that was deformed, and but I don't believe in the Jersey Devil.
But no, I don't either, and I can understand that as well too. So I have a daughter named Devin, and she's a beautiful young lady. But whenever she was a kid, she was god awful ugly, like to the point like I didn't want to take her out. I don't know how she was able to bloom, into such a beautiful young lady. But like I know what that was like, so I would have people say, "Doesn't Ron have two kids?" And I had to keep her kind of quiet because I didn't want that to be brought out. I think she was like 7 or 8 before I finally took her out in the public. Yeah, I think that was it.
Oh my God. I can't. Kim, what about Loch Ness?
Well,
Are you a believer in that? Do you think there are still ancient dinosaur-like sea creatures?
So, Kim, check this out. I don't know what part of the world that you live in, but I actually wrote a book a few years ago called Aquatic Monsters of the Great Lakes. And I go through every Great Lake talking about the monsters that people think live in there. And I also have Lake Champlain, and I also have Loch Ness in there as well, too. I have visited Loch Ness. And of course, whenever you go there, you hope that there is a monster there. Oh, she's in New Jersey, right? So Kim's from Jersey. So yeah,
She's a
um,
peach. She's one of the peaches.
I did not know that. Okay, well, and she'll be with you then in the golf
Yeah.
cart.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. So, Kim, when I see you, can talk all about monsters in the ocean because that's one of my favorite things. I love the ocean. I've written about mermaids, but the ocean is just so vast
Yeah.
that the possibility is actually better to think that there's something else out there that's not been identified than thinking there's nothing out there at all.
The ocean is intimidating
It is very intimidating.
it's so intimidating. I literally cringe like thinking of, like I would love to see the Titanic, but being that deep into the ocean, like let's just say there was a safe way to go. You know what I mean? To see the Titanic.
Sure.
I would love to see the Titanic, but I would
Yeah,
be so scared out of my mind
I
because
would too. I would
of
too.
how you have no idea what's out there.
You
We
might as well go
don't
into outer
think we
space.
know everything.
Mhm. That's right. Yep, you're absolutely correct.
I mean, we can't get to the bottom of the ocean in some places. How do we know what
Mhm.
works at the bottom?
I'm in complete agreement with you.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
crazy. Um, 360s, LOL, golf carting. Oh
I
boy,
want autographs whenever you guys get there too, by the way.
we want your autograph. I want your autograph.
We'll exchange autographs.
Okay. So besides the oh, you know what? Like, can I just tell you what I saw one time? Because
Absolutely.
I don't see things. So um I was on vacation. I wasn't even ghost hunting. Like I wasn't doing anything like that. I was on vacation, Myrtle
Mhm.
Beach. It was 12 o'clock in the afternoon. We were getting ready to go to the beach. So I wasn't drunk.
Mhm.
Disclaimer. Wasn't drunk, even though I was on vacation. And we were standing in the kitchen, and it was just me and Rob, and you know, everybody else was somewhere getting ready to go. And I look over at the right time, or maybe the wrong time, I don't even know. And all I could see was the back of this figure that looked like, if you saw the first American Horror Story, the guy in the black suit.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
That's what it looked like. It was the blackest black I've ever seen, but I only saw like the back half of it. So I saw like the back of the head, the neck, the back, the butt, the legs, and it had this small yellow, like, I don't want to say it was a light, but it had a bright yellow line around it.
Wow.
And I saw it, like, so because I only saw the back of it, because it was walking into another room where like the corner of the wall blocked the rest of it out, and and then all of a sudden I see the dog coming out from the area that the thing went into, and came across and up to me, and I didn't realize that I couldn't hear until I started to hear again.
Hmm.
So like I could hear I didn't hear the dog coming up to me, but when I could hear again, when she was walking around in the kitchen, I remember like hearing the sounds coming back. So it was like
Wow.
it was the most insane thing I have ever like seen, and I don't know I don't know what it was. I All I know is what I saw. You know what I mean? And experienced.
Yeah, you talk about time slips and things. That sounds like it was almost a bleed over into something else.
Yeah, it
That's
was.
crazy.
It was crazy. And I'm not a psychic medium, I'm not one to be like, oh, I'm getting vibes in this house and I'm sensing it's haunted, this, that. But for the first like 3 days, because I didn't see this thing until the third day, but for those couple of days, I felt like I was being watched.
Hmm.
Right. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's just because I'm in a unfamiliar place, but I was with all family, everybody was fine. But I felt, like I was being watched. But after that occurred, that feeling went away. You would
Hmm.
think it would be the opposite. After
That's
seeing
right.
something like that, you think that you'd be all freaked out. But like I saw it, it happened so quick. And then after that, I never felt like it's almost like it felt like it just went away.
Wow.
It wasn't there anymore. So that was probably the creepiest thing that I've ever seen and
Yeah.
experienced.
And you can't answer. And that's probably why you're still searching, right? You still want to find answers to what's going on.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
is crazy.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
down in
There's
Myrtle Beach, I thought it was in the ocean.
the what?
I thought whenever you were going to say this was in Myrtle Beach, I thought you saw something in the ocean.
No, no, no. No, I would
That,
never get in the ocean again if I ever saw anything in the
that's right.
I
That's right.
barely
That's
go in
right.
the ocean now. And it's like, but there's another time that I, and it's weird. I haven't seen it since, right? So this was probably about, I don't know. I went to Myrtle Beach. I can't remember if it was the same year or not. It had to be the same year, but I went to Myrtle Beach in September. No, it had to be the following year. So the following year in April, we were at the Hinsdale house and I was driving with Jossie. So Jossie's in the car with me and we were driving somewhere and I'm looking forward and all I see again, the same thing. But at this time I saw like just the back, and it was like walking into like walking. I didn't see it walking across the street. I saw it walking like at the edge of the like where the grass started, and then there's like a big like field. So like the grass was like this high or whatever it was like this high. And I was like, I said to Jossie, I go, did you just see that? Like I reacted. And I said,
Wow.
that's kind of like what I saw in Myrtle Beach. I was like, it was like the same, and it just because it looked similar, like the way, you know what I mean? Like that's what it reminded me of. And I go, I got to see because we were driving and we were going to be where I saw it in like 3 seconds. So I was like, it's got whatever's there. If it's not what I saw, like maybe I looked up at a certain angle, maybe it was a car driving, or maybe it was like, whatever. We get up there and there's absolutely nothing.
Wow. Whenever this kind of stuff happens, especially when there's almost a pattern going on, a lot of times I'm thinking that these, whatever they are, these entities or whatever, are trying to reveal themselves to you for a certain reason. It's almost as a gift, although it doesn't seem like much of a gift. But I think that certain people are allowed to see things like, you know, Bigfoot or UFOs or these other kind of entities. I think that there's something about a connection between the experiencer and then that's what's being experienced as well.
Yeah. It's weird. Again, the second time, even though it looked like it, I think I'm second guessing myself. So I don't want to ever, I'm not going to say for sure that that's what it was. You know what I mean? But I saw something, you know what I mean? And like I said, it reminded me of that, but I don't know. Like I know for sure what I saw in Myrtle Beach. Like there was no mistake. I couldn't believe what I saw. I mean,
No.
nobody else that was with me is into the paranormal. So I wasn't telling them like, oh, I feel like I'm being watched. You know what I mean? Because they're like, they could care less about the paranormal stuff, So,
Sure, sure.
and I don't want to be that guy where, everywhere I go, it's haunted and this and that. So, I kind of just keep myself but I couldn't keep that to myself. I like blurted out. I was like, did you just see that? You know what I mean? Like it was something that was just like unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm so hoping that you put a book out soon.
So many people say that to me, but like I honestly don't know what I would write about.
What you've been talking about right now. I mean, these kind of adventures that you've had, talking about the ghost investigations you've done. I think you have so much to share with the world, and you do it through this show. But I would really like to get the meat and the potatoes of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't like potatoes.
You don't like potatoes?
You know what? I like them in tot form.
Hmm.
And I like tater tots and the hash brown, but that's it.
That's interesting.
I know. I know.
I'm a potato. Like I would eat. I love carbs. Carbs.
No,
So
right. Right.
you know,
Well, bread.
I love all that. I'm super afraid of the ocean, not spiders. Oh, I'm not afraid. I like spiders because they
I
eat
do
other bugs and they're good. They're good to have
too.
around. Um, this was interesting. I wanted to tell you that because, like, I've shared it um, with Justin Bamforth, and I've shared it with Mike Ricksecker, like people, you know what I mean, that like that kind of research that type of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but what is it?
Yeah,
Like
thank
I don't
you.
know what category something like that falls into. I mean, it's just it was. I really honestly it felt like it didn't even know it was there.
Right, sure, sure. And as I said, you can conjecture that maybe it did not know it was there either. It was just kind of like a bleed through, where two different times were kind of merging for whatever reason. And I do firmly believe in that kind of stuff. And if it happened in Myrtle Beach, then there's something might happen there as well too. Some sort of synchronicity with the ocean and all that other stuff. To allow these type of gateways to open up, or maybe not even a gateway, maybe just a mirror or a window into the other world.
I'm closing the window.
Yeah,
Okay,
close the window. Yeah. Well, see,
closing
that's the
that
reason why.
window.
Yeah, this is the reason I like to stop into Paranormal Brew, because this is a conversation, right? So many other places are like, just by the book kind of an interview. But with you, I'm glad that you share those kind of things. And I'm sure your audience enjoys that as well too. I like the idea that we could sit here and just talk about the subject, you
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
absolutely. That's always been my goal. I've never wanted to be this like Q&A. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want that. I want so a lot. That's why I don't look up a lot of my guests and stuff like that. Which is, I've learned that that can be a bad thing because I've had a couple of people on that were just terrible people.
So,
But that's been few and far between, you know what I mean? But I like to sit there and go, okay, if I was watching this right now, what questions would I want to know? What would I want to know about
exactly.
this person?
Exactly.
If I was, watching this, like what like and I'm listening to you talk. So like the questions that are coming out are just genuine off the top from what you're saying to me. You know what I mean? Like and wanting to get to know that part of it. So I hope I asked the right questions for my guests.
You,
You know what I
oh,
mean?
like I said, it's been a while. I thought that you forgot about me. It's been a while since I've been on your show, but you should do a live brew from the Bigfoot conference, because you could have so many different people there.
Absolutely. I will do. I'll do a live and I'll just go around and show everybody what's going on. And hopefully some people will pop in and say hi, like Ron Murphy.
I will definitely be there. I'll be the first one there. And like I said, no, anytime you need me to be on your show, I will definitely be there. As I'm
Listen,
slowly
I
losing
love
my
that.
voice.
We should have a scheduled like every like 2 months or every, you know what I mean? Just come on it
Absolutely,
because
absolutely.
the knowledge you produce is endless. We could
Well,
literally have a show for 5 hours and like have great conversation the entire time.
I believe that, yes, but yeah, I would probably have to rest up for that. My voice right now is starting to go right now. But what do you want to talk about? We can set something right now.
Yeah, we should you listen, you have the things that you there's really nothing that I could say that you wouldn't know what to talk about. I could say,
Let's talk about sea. Want to talk about sea and lake monsters next time?
yeah,
All right, let's do it that way. We'll do it
okay.
that.
We'll talk about lake monsters.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I cannot wait.
All right, we'll have to set it up. We'll make a date.
I'm looking forward to it. And we won't tell your boyfriend.
Fiance. Fiance.
Oh, fiance. That's right. That's
My
right. Yeah.
boyfriend doesn't care, but my fiance might be upset.
He might care a little bit. That's right. That's right. Wow. Um,
I'm just kidding, everyone.
that's right. We joke. That's what we do. We joke.
Yeah, somebody will use that and like just take that one snippet and try to
That's right. This
real.
just in.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Oh, wait. So I have, before I let you go, I have one thing for you.
Oh,
Hold
I
on.
can't wait.
Hold on.
I'm holding. I'm not sure if this is good for a podcast or not because dead air sometimes is a bit of a killer. But as we wait for Karen to return, let's look and see how nicely decorated her little office is. Oh, here she comes.
There's
Oh, there you go. Oh my goodness gracious. That is amazing. Amazing. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, definitely go for that. Show up to the Bigfoot Camping Adventure for that, and they will definitely believe everything that you have to say.
Ron, you're always a pleasure. I love having you on.
Well, I
Tell everybody where
enjoyed
they
it.
can find you. And, besides the Bigfoot thing, you have anything else coming up?
Yeah, September 19th, 20th, and 21st, we're going to be at a place in Derry, Pennsylvania. It's going to be Derry Days, and we're going to have a Bigfoot conference associated with that as well, too. So if you're in Western Pennsylvania, good old Derry, Pennsylvania, that's where I'll be.
Awesome. And where can people find you?
You can find me on Amazon if you want to buy my books. You can. I'll give you my email address. So it's Ronald L Murphy Jr. at yahoo.com. That's my actual, honest to goodness email address. So you can get on there. I have a website which is Crypto Guru Ron, Crypto Guru Ron. .com, and you can go on there. And you can also find me on Facebook. And yeah, that's Instagram too. You can find me on there, and that's about it.
That's
I'm
awesome.
on TikTok too, and I do some pretty cool dances.
You do?
I
We'll
do, I
have
do.
to do a
Yeah,
TikTok.
that's right. We'll have to do it. We'll do a TikTok at the Bigfoot thing.
Yeah, we'll do a
Yep,
TikTok.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, me and the Peaches are all excited to come. We
Well, I'm
can't.
excited. Yeah, I'm excited because by that time, the peaches will be ripe.
It's true.
Yeah,
So true. Kim said, can't wait.
that's right. That's right.
All right,
Yeah.
love. I'm going to let you go.
All right, my dear. My voice is almost gone, so you just got it right on time.
What happened?
My voice is almost gone. You got me
Oh,
right on time. Yeah.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
well, next time bring the lemon juice because I want to, I don't want to have to rush off. So,
Oh, we're not going to rush off. When we're talking about lake monsters, it's going to be an all-nighter.
I
Wear
love
your
you.
jammies. Hey, listeners, wear your jammies for that one because we're going deep into the night.
Oh, yeah. Deep into the ocean, baby.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Because if there's one thing Ron Murphy does, and that's go deep.
I can't. Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Here, Kim, let's get deep.
There you go. There you go. Always a pleasure, my dear. I have work tomorrow, so I'm going to get off here, go to bed, and think about lake monsters. And I can't wait to talk to you. But I'll be seeing you before that, and I'm excited.
I know. I'm so excited. You have a good night. And
I'll try my best.
I love you. Thank you so much for coming on and always being so awesome. I love you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Bye.
Ah, what a treat. I love having him on. I literally my brain goes and I want to ask him so many questions and I always forget but he's just a encyclopedia of knowledge of everything. So next week, make sure you guys join me. I have Beth O'Brien coming on. She runs a place called West Hill Manor, I think, in New Jersey, that they run paranormal investigations out of, and that's Wednesday. Friday, I have a special episode Friday afternoon. When you have somebody like Ben Hansen coming on, you kind of got to work around their schedule. So, yeah. So Friday, I will be having a show at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It will be live. However, I will replay it. I will replay it again. At a later date if you can't make it Friday for the live show with Ben Hansen. And if you guys don't know who he is, look him up. He is amazing. He did the show Fact or Faked. He's like a former FBI agent, and he's like, I mean, the things that this man does is incredible. He's like a Josh Gates without the traveling around the world part. Maybe he does. I don't know. All I know is he's like has a laundry list of things that he has accomplished and does, and he's amazing. So I hope you guys join me for that. Anyway, I'm gonna say goodnight. I gotta take my baby for a walk. Roscoe, not Rob, and I will see you guys Wednesday. I hope everybody has a great week.